Hello and welcome to episode 78 of the She Must Knit podcast. My name is Erin and thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. I hope you guys had a great week. I had a really nice week. Now, it was also a busy week. If you remember last episode, I was talking about how it was the final week that I had to complete the very large wholesale order that I was working on. It was crunch time and it is past now. I have finished the order. So I finished it all. I had the bulk of it done on Tuesday, and then I still had I had more than half of it done by Tuesday, and then I still had some more to get done for the final numbers. And there was lots of nights, or 2 nights, where Dennis and I were up packaging together. Avery did a lot of work as well. Of course, I've mentioned how my mom and brothers were behind the scenes back at my mom's house doing lots of packaging as well. But as of Thursday, I had everything boxed up, ready to go, just awaiting for the shipping directions from the company that I have been working with. So as of now, it is all shipped, it is gone, it is in the hands of the postal service. All I can do is cross my fingers and hope that it arrives safe and sound. But that load is off my shoulders for now. Like I said, I will be at complete peace once I know it's there and it's safe. But for now, there's nothing else I can do. It is out of my hands at this point. So I have been able to get back to knitting. Now, you will notice that again this week I am recording just a little bit later than normal. Usually I like to record on Fridays so that I can have it up Saturday morning. But I was so fried. So Thursday I finished it and I just kind of was a big lump. And Friday, I was just getting back into my regular activity. And I just decided that I wanted to take a few days to work on some projects. As of last Friday, I really hadn't worked on anything that week, so there would have been very, very little to show you. And yeah, I just decided I wanted to take a few days, work on my projects, cast on some things, work on other things that I haven't touched in a while, and just take a few days for my brain to just kind of chill. So that's what I did, and I have a few things to show you. What do I have? I have a project that you've seen the last couple of weeks that I've made a bit more progress on. I have a new cast on. I have a project that is kind of a long-term project that I was able to put a little bit of work into, and then I have another planning project. So something came up this week that I could not refuse, so we're going to talk about another project that I am planning to cast on soon. So let's get started with the project that you are probably already anticipating me showing you, and you are very curious to see how far I have got on these socks. So my September Desert Vista Dyeworks socks. This has been the main project that I've been working on this month. It's pretty much been the only thing that I've been working on because it really is my priority to get this done so that I can stay in the yearly challenge with the Desert Vista Dyeworks challenge. So I was able to finish the first sock. So I believe last week when I showed it to you, I had finished the heel, and I think I was working my way down on the foot. And so I was able to finish the foot, I think Thursday, once the order was all packed up and ready and I had contacted the company saying it was done. I was able to just sit back and relax a little bit, and I did a little bit of knitting then, and then I think Friday is when I finished the foot. So this is just my basic vanilla pattern. I like to cast on 81 stitches for the cuff. I do about 3 rows in rib without joining in the round. I just find it makes it easier to join in the round, and also I can leave the top to be a little stretchier if I need it to be. I do some ribbing, and then I just did a straight stockinette leg for this one. Sometimes I do a triangular heel. For this particular pair, I decided to do a German short row heel because I just find it faster, and then I just did straight down. So like I said, I start with 81 stitches, and Linda, I know you think that is so many stitches, but you have to remember that I use 2mm needles for my socks, so my gauge is much, much smaller than a lot of people who use 2.25 needles or even 2.5 needles. And also I like a comfortable leg. I really don't like any restriction on my calves, so I like to start with a larger number, and then after my heel I decrease down to 70 stitches for my foot. So this is the first sock. This is the colorway Color Accents Teal, I believe. Susan does a whole range of color accents that are basically these kind of black and gray shades with just one pop of color. So this is the teal one. I do like to wear teal quite a bit over the cooler months. So I just thought this color was one that I would get a lot of use out of. So I finished that first sock on Friday, and I think I was able to cast on the cuff that day as well, and then I've been working on the second sock ever since. And this is how much I've got done on the second sock. I've got my cuff down, I'm working down the leg, and you will notice this little stitch marker here. So I have been comparing this sock to my first sock to kind of see where I'm going to start the heel. And from this marker, I have to do 6 stripes before I can put in my German short row heel. So I think you can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I'm working on my 6th stripe there. So I'm almost at the point where I can put in the heel. If I can get the heel in today, ideally I'd like to finish the heel today and start working a little bit down the foot. I think I will be okay to finish this pair for September. I still have all day tomorrow. I do have a bunch of work that I need to catch up on. There's a lot of things that kind of got put on the back burner while I was working on the wholesale order. So I do have things I need to do tomorrow, but I think I can still squeeze in some knitting time, and once I'm on the foot, I find that I can make it go pretty quickly. So it might be a later night tomorrow. I might be up past my usual bedtime trying to finish these socks, but I think I'm feeling pretty confident that I will finish my September Desert Vista Dyeworks socks. So thank goodness for that. That was the one thing that that's what I wanted to do this month. If nothing else got completed, I really just wanted to finish those socks so that I could stay in the competition. So yeah, I cast on another project. I was working on the socks, I think on Friday, and then it just, there was just one point in the afternoon where I just had the urge to start a project. I believe there was an episode where I was kind of talking about some planning, some projects that I kind of had on my horizon that I knew I wanted to start when I had the first opportunity to. And I decided I wanted to start one of those things. And I knew it was going to be a quick cast on. I knew it was going to be a fairly quick knit, so I could probably get a good chunk of it done if I just put, an hour or two into it. And that's what I decided to do. So if you remember, like I said, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago or so, I was talking about some projects I wanted to start. And one of them was with this yarn here. This is some Barocco vintage, and then also this yarn here, which is some of my hand spun. And I've found now that I've knit with these actually work really, really well together. The texture of the ply and the texture of the yarn is very similar, so I'm finding that they're working really well. The project that I have cast on is a little child's garment. If you remember when I was talking about my bingo update and just kind of looking at my goals, where I was at this point, what I still had to finish by the end of the year, what I thought I could finish, what I probably am not going to finish. One of the squares was to make a sweater incorporating handspun. And when I originally made that goal, I was hoping to make a sweater for myself incorporating handspun, but at this point, I do not see myself making multiple adult garments in the next 3 months. So there was at least one other square that was also, I was hoping was going to be an adult garment, and I had said if I was going to finish any of those, I might have to make one of those squares a child's garment instead. And so that's what I've decided to do with the square that was to make a sweater incorporating handspun. I've decided to make that a child's garment instead. So I've combined, like I said, I've got this Barocco vintage, and I have just one skein of this in my stash, and so I thought that was perfect. I could use this. I figured out if I did the smallest size of the pattern, I would have enough with the one skein, and then this would be out of my stash, and I would have a little sweater that I could put away for a gift or whatnot. So this is what I have started, and this pattern is the Porthole cardigan. I have made this before, and making it again, it's just like starting it again. It's just a really, really nice, easy pattern. So you can see here that there is a yoke design, and this is all done with slip stitches. So you're only working with one of the colors at a time. So it's a very easy cast on. You're just doing, there isn't even any raglan shaping because it's a yoke construction. So you're incorporating increases within the colored sections here. So every couple of rows there is an increase row where you do some knit fronts and backs within the little colored areas, and that's how you increase the stitches. So it's very, very simple. It's, I think, a really just pleasing design, and it's a really good way to use up just little bits of yarn. So I am done at this point all of the accent that I need in this sweater, and I used about 12 grams of my hand spun. So I can still do a whole nother project with this. I do have another plan of something that I would like to make with this one, but I'm really happy with how the colors of that hand spun is working with this gray yarn. So I am now at the point, as you can see, I have taken off the sleeve stitches, and I am at the point now where I'm just knitting. I think I have to knit for about 2 inches below the armhole there, and then I think there might be some increases, just a few increases to kind of flare out the side of the cardigan, and then it's just going to be picking up the sleeve stitches and knitting down. But this is just knitting up really, really nicely. It's been exactly what I needed, just to kind of switch my brain. You know, just I've been working on those socks all month. I've had so many other things on the go. This has just been such a nice welcome change. So I am really, really enjoying this. And yeah, I think this pattern, if you're looking for a really easy baby knit or kid knit, I think it goes up to size 4 years old. This is just a really, really pleasant knit, and I think the pattern was very reasonably priced as well. So something to look into. I think it's actually like a true unisex design. There's lots of patterns that are out there, and a lot of them say they're unisex, but you know, depending on the design elements, I find they either lean way more masculine or way more feminine. If you look at the project pages of this pattern, depending on the colors that you use, I think it truly is unisex. So I am enjoying that very much. I am enjoying working with my hand spun. I don't do it often enough, but I am just one of those spinners who enjoys creating the yarn and the process of making the yarn versus actually knitting with the yarn. I find that I really have to plan out opportunities to knit with my hand spun. I like giving it away. So it has been very nice knitting with this hand spun. So that is the project that I cast on. And then the other project that I was able to work on this weekend, so yesterday was when I put a little bit of work on it, was my granny stripe blanket. So yesterday we had a really fun day out. It was kind of an icky rainy day, very gray, very misty all day, and part of it we spent at home. Avery and I spent at home. Dennis had soccer all day, and part of it we went out. So Avery was actually a huge help in completing the order that I was working on for someone who is 7 years old and just has, you know, just wants to kind of do her thing and craft and play and all that. There was actually several instances where she sat down and she really helped me out. There was times where she helped make the items, prep the items for me to make, and then also towards the end, she did a lot of packaging. So I took her out. We had a little mummy and daughter mall date yesterday, and she was able to pick out something from the toy store just to as a thank you, to say, you know, you did a lot of hard work and here you go. So she knew that she was going to be able to do that if she did as much work as she could, and she did. So we did that. We had lunch while we were there. We looked at another couple of places and just kind of walked around. And then we came home and we had kind of a movie afternoon with some popcorn. We watched The Princess Bride. And while we did that, I decided to work on my granny stripe blanket. So I don't think I have touched this in a while. I know I've shown it to you within the last couple of months, but I don't think it's been a little while since I've worked on it. I have been putting aside the leftovers, so when I have leftovers from my socks or other fingering weight projects First, I put a square in my mitered square blanket, and I did show that to you recently. And then I put whatever's left into the basket where my granny stripe is. And those extras have kind of been building up, and I didn't want those to build up too much. I've mentioned before that I am participating in an Advent swap with some of my friends, and we are going to be swapping minis. And my plan this year is to use those minis just in my granny stripe blanket. And that time is coming up. Christmas is quickly approaching. Halloween's going to be here any minute now, and then it's just going to be all holiday prep. And so I want to have all my scraps and all my extras in this blanket before I start opening my Advent calendars. I don't want to have to catch up and then try and keep pace with my Advent minis. So I want to be totally caught up. So I thought, since we were having a movie day yesterday and we were just kind of chilling out, I would try and get a little bit done on my blanket. Now, it doesn't look like I've put very much in. It's like only a couple of rows, but this is a very wide blanket. I think when I started this, I did 300 and some chains. I do have a picture that I shared in another episode a while ago of this draped over our queen size bed. So it is quite big. And I was able to put in, I think, let's see here. All right, you can see where this dark brown is from there up. So this yarn here is the one from my August Desert Vista Dyeworks socks. That was the If They Kill colorway. And you can kind of see that it goes from this dark brown into this pink. And so that was the other stripe of that yarn. So I was able to put in about 4 rows while we watched the movie. The movie was only about an hour and a half, so 4 rows while we watched the movie. That's where I've ended right there. And then I decided I needed to get back to my September socks. So I probably could have kept working on that for the rest of the evening, but I knew that my September socks were a little bit more of a priority, but I was happy to get a little dip into this blanket. I think once I get my September socks done, I probably will get back to this blanket because I really do want to get the rest of the extras that I have in the blanket in here. And then I don't have to worry about it when my Advent boxes, when I get to start opening my Advent boxes. So that's basically what I've been working on for the last 3 days. Like I said, I didn't do pretty much any knitting last week. It was only once I finished my order, so a little bit on Thursday and then Friday and Saturday. And then this morning that I've been able to knit, and that's what I've been working on. So the last thing that I have to talk to you about is my plans. So I have another project plan, and this was not on the radar for me. I've mentioned before that I do test knitting. I used to do a lot of test knitting. When Avery was little, I was test knitting everything. But lately, I've really cut back. There's only a few designers that I am on their kind of list that they'll let you know when they have a test ready. And I don't go for a lot of tests. So it has to be something that really stands out to me that I think is really special, and then I will go for it. So this week I was earburned in Ravelry by Stephanie Lotvin, and you know she is one of my favorite designers, especially her kid knits. She does a lot of adult knits, but not all her adult knits are ones that kind of work with my wardrobe and my sense, just what I like to wear. So she earburned me. I went to check out the thread. I always go to check out what the design is. And as soon as I saw it, I was just like, yes, sign me up. I need to make this sweater. And it actually is an adult design, but it is something absolutely that I would wear. If you remember back, that was I'd have to look through my notes to see if I can link this episode. But there was an episode that I was talking about garments and knitting garments for yourself and all the mistakes that I've made in choosing garments to knit for myself, how I never wear them, and just a few things that I've come to ask myself if I'm looking at a potential pattern to knit for myself. And one of those questions is, if I saw this kind of pattern or this design in a ready-made store, would it even interest me enough to try it on? There are other questions, of course, and other things to consider, but that's one of them. Is this something that I would even be attracted to if it was just there and ready to try on and just see how it looked? And when I saw this design, that was like, it was yes, 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 yes. I would absolutely, if I saw this on a mannequin in a store, I would be like, yes, please, that one, my size, let's go. So I think I did a scan because she said in the description she was only looking for one tester per size. So I think I did a quick scan to see if anybody else had kind of already signed up for the size that I might be interested in. But there wasn't a lot of posts at this point, so I just posted that I was interested and I wasn't sure which size, and she helped me out with that. But yeah, I am testing this pattern for her, and I'll try and put up a little picture so that you could see it. It is called Linger Here, and it is just, I just think it's a beautiful design. Now, she does allow modifications for fit and personal preference, which I really appreciate. So the one thing I will say right now that I probably am going to modify is just the bagginess of the sleeves. I don't tend to go for super oversized sweaters. I like my sleeves to be a little more tapered, and I like them to also not be full length. So I will probably make the sleeves a little narrower and a little shorter. But otherwise, I love the neckline, I love the cables, I love kind of the ribbing, or the, I don't know what stitch it is, I haven't obviously started it yet, but just the texture on the yoke and the shoulders I really like. I like the length of it, it's going to work really well with my leggings, and I am just really excited to start this sweater. And I've been looking at yarns. I don't really have a ton of worsted weight yarn in my stash, sweater quantities ready to go. I do have one, and I think you might, let's see, where is it? Right there, that dark teal there, I think would work. But because of all the cables in this design, I really picture it in a much lighter color. I really want all the designs to kind of stand out and not kind of get lost in a darker color. So I've decided, I know last week I talked about doing an order with knit picks. I think instead, I don't think I'm going to do an order with knit picks anymore, but I think instead I found a yarn that I think will work really, really well with this pattern. It's the Cascade Cantata, and it is a wool and cotton blend. I often do not like working with cotton yarns, especially 100% cotton, but wool cotton happens to be one of the blends I really, really enjoy working with. I like knitting with it. I like the fabric. I like how it washes. I find it tends to wash really well. So I found this yarn, and so Wool Warehouse is one of the places that has it, and also Love Crafts, which is the new website for Love Knitting. They both have this yarn. They have some nice colors, and I think I'm going to treat myself to this yarn. I was like, you know what? This was a kind of tough month in terms of just getting that order done, and yes, you know, I will be rewarded for that. I will be paid for that. But it was hard to focus on that for the entire month. It was a lot of work, and now that it's done, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to treat myself to a sweater quantity for this beautiful test in a yarn that, you know, excites me and that I think will just work really well for the overall feel of this design. So I haven't ordered the yarn yet. I am going to wait until everything is like done. But that is my plan. As soon as I get kind of the payment coming through and I can order this yarn, I'm going to do that, and then that is going to be the test that I work on. It's not due until December, it's sometime early December, so I do have time to work on it. And in the meantime, I had this little sweater to work on, and then also, if you remember the Cumulus blouse that I had promised myself that I was going to work on in September, which I did not. I did not anticipate that I would be focused on something else the entire month. I think I'm going to bring that out just in the meantime, work on that, and then once the yarn arrives, then I will work on the test. So I'm really excited about that. I think it's a really, really beautiful sweater, and I can't wait to work through the pattern and just see how Stephanie always writes really, really lovely patterns, so I look forward to working through it. So yeah, that's basically all that I've been working on. I would love to hear how your week went, if there was any projects. Did you cast on any new projects? Are you working on your gifts? I know in the Bling Your String group we have the season of gifting pal, so Project Along going on. If you are working on any projects that are gifts for other people's during the holiday season, you can enter them there. So have you been working on your holiday projects? I have not, but I kind of know what I want to start when I'm able to do that. So that's all I have to share with you today. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I hope you have a wonderful week going forward. I should be getting back to my regular Friday schedule now. I should also be getting back to my regular kind of collection schedule. I think a couple of weeks ago I showed you some fabrics, and I haven't touched my sewing machine in about a month. So I'm hoping to get back to those this week. That's on my kind of work list to get done. And so hopefully going forward, everything will be back to normal. So yes, I hope you have a wonderful week. It was so nice to talk with you again, and I will talk to you soon.